We're going to go down to the Mardi Gras. Happy Mardi Gras, everyone. Laissez le bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. It's the last chance to have a good time, to pass a good time, yeah, and eat really good stuff and drink really good stuff before Ash Wednesday tomorrow and the Lenten season starts. This is how we do things in South Louisiana. We do not need too many reasons to have a party down here, and today's been a really big party all over the state. Some of us still had to go to work, but for those who can and go and enjoy, Mardi Gras is something really to experience at some place, and it's all over the place. And we'll talk a little bit more about Mardi Gras in a little bit. I'm festive. I got um, the purple, the gold, and the green lights going on. So we're all festive, and thanks 2D for my outfit that fits. I just realized I don't have beads. Y'all have seen the beads. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so happy Mardi Gras, everyone. I'm excited to talk about our subject tonight of rum cask matured whiskeys, because rum has a very close tie to Louisiana. And we'll talk more about that. But we got some folks in here already. Want to say hello to everyone. I see Joe's Whiskey Den is in. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Slanja, you too. And then hubby is greeting everybody. Mark and Stacy, 4-Leaf Whiskey, 13 days to her big day, her big Mardi Gras in a whole different, country. And I'm really stoked. So the day before the 17th, I will be her guest on her show. So that is 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 Eastern. It will be midnight because we'll have done the time change, but the UK will not. So it will be midnight in Glasgow. Actually, I'll still be in Leith. So I will be coming live at midnight from Leith, Scotland. This is going to be fun. Just pray for really good Wi-Fi in the hotel. I think we're going to be okay. But we're going to have a really wonderful time with some single cast selections she's put together. There are en route, as she let me know today. So make sure you follow her if you haven't already, and pass a good time with me, Stacy, 4-Leaf Whiskey, and Jason, the Mash and Drum. That's going to be off the chain. It's going to be so awesome. Thanks, Stacy, for asking me to be part of that. Cool Running is in. Hello, Cooler Running, not cool, but Cooler Running. So cool to see. Thanks for being here, and cheers to you. My MVP today sent me a sample for tonight. Of course, Jennifer, hey friend. Excited about having some of this little bit of this favorite distillery of yours. So that should clue in a lot of people, for sure. Yeah, but gonna have a good time. And I'm really excited. Yes, we're gonna have king cake. This guy, Chuck Malt Minion, I found out a few minutes ago that he's going to be over there at the same time. This is going to be awesome. So, I'm going to have to recruit you, Chuck, to do a little something on the video for the channel. That'll be too much fun. Great to see Jimmy Jazz is in, and he's having a little Springbank 15 rum cask. Wow, that sounds delicious. Wow. Cool Running is 2 a.m. there. Good gravy. Thank you for being up in the middle of the night, friend. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's good to see everybody. And Donner said hello. Damn, how are you? Thanks for checking in from work. I totally understand. That's usually my time when I'm on Aquavite, is finishing up work for sure. But yes, rum is good. It is good. It's like sugar, right? Sugar, Stacy. Happy Mardi Gras, my fellow Louisianan, on an offshore rig tonight. No festivities for you then, but be safe out there. And I'm so glad you were able to jump in here, Trooper. You take care. So Jennifer, let me know what y'all are drinking. So we got a Springbank 15 rum cask. Jennifer's pulling out the SMWS 93, the holy grail for me. If you know me, you know. Yo ho ho and a bottle of this. Is it aged rum? Nope. What? But that does seem fitting. It really would, because it's a Glen Scotia. It's a 93. You know, I love that part. Mm, mm, mm. That's awesome. And look at it. Yeah, Sugar Kitty, you got it. Let's le bon temps roulé. You got it. You got it. That's the way we do it. I love it. So I wanted to talk about this particular one. I thought it would be really good for Mardi Gras. Jennifer taught me into it, so thank her as well. But when you think about all the different kind of caskings that we get into with our whiskey, and from base of starting out with a good bourbon cask, maturation is a base for a lot of things, and a lot of times, producers will start out with that bourbon cask and then go to somewhere else, or they'll go into a sherry cask or different type of wine cask, and going into a rum cask is something that I don't always just go for. I can remember having my first taste of Caribbean cask, the Balvenie Caribbean cask, and thinking, wow, this is really nice. And it is a very nice expression, but it was not something that I sought after more than or as much as, say, a sherry cask and something like that. So that got me thinking more about, when I got more into sherry cask, I got a bunch of sherries, and I wanted to see like what part of the sherry attributes or characteristics does that impart into the whiskey. And that was really interesting, because there's so many types, right? I mean, of sherries. There's so many types of rum. Oh my gosh. I had no idea, because I'm not really into that. Now, my Kim, that's on the channel, and she comes in. She's a huge rum person. My friend Tom up in Chicago, huge rum person. And we're not talking Bacardi here. We're not talking something in a daiquiri. We're talking about like fancy sipping whiskeys. I mean, sipping rums. I know there was a huge rum festival in Miami about a month ago, and I know Kim went down there for that. And just as we all geek out over whiskeys, there's a whole cache of folks that do that for rum. And but I actually did have a couple of bottles of rum that I would say are a bit more a step up from your typical brown Bacardi or something like that. And what I'd like to do tonight is I want to kind of just go through the tasting notes on the rum, and then I've got a couple of expressions that are rum matured or have some variation of it, and I want to taste that and see just what of those elements I'm getting into, or what I'm able to pull out of that. So sound like a plan? Again, let me know what you're drinking. I see Joe is in. Hey, good to see you. Yes, Tom is huge into rum. Huge into rum. So I have 2 bottles of rum. The first rum I have is Barbados rum. And when you think about, think about the connection of Louisiana. It's made from molasses from sugar cane, right? That's one of our biggest cash crops is sugar cane here in South Louisiana. Can't grow it in the north. It's too dry. It's got to have some wet feet. So just this weekend, we went to the camp, and as we're coming back home, you kind of get this smoky haze in the air, and they were burning cane fields. Most of the harvest has happened from the fall, but they're starting to plant like year round now. And we had 2 really big freezes, and I noticed that the cane that had come up had really gotten hit by the freeze. And so they were burning that old dead leaf growth off. And that same cane that was planted in the fall is just going to pop right back up out of that. So even with that, it's one of those things like when you smell burnt sugar, and it's more kind of like not really with the cinnamon element, but it's more of just like a burnt sugar, like on a top of a creme brulee, where they put the torch on top of the sugar to caramelize it. That is kind of with a char. That's kind of what you smell as you like burnt marshmallow as you're driving through the cane fields in the fall. And it just happened to be this situation where people were burning some of the cane fields this weekend. And it was really interesting. It just kind of takes you right back to that time of year. It's usually during football season. And I know when Mark and I lived in Texas and we would come home for a game, we knew we were home when we could smell that char of burnt sugar in the air. And yeah, that was kind of crazy. Lots of folks coming in. Cheers. Hey, Kim Reddick. Hey, Jim. Good to see you, friend. Thanks for coming in. Sugar Kitty is drinking a Guinness with a bit of Russell's 10-year pick. Nice. That is definitely sweet enough to be a rum finish. And that's what rum finishes help do to whiskey, right? Is add that layer of sweetness. Taste and sensibility. Hello. Cheers, everyone. Good to see you. And this guy, I would love to hear Laissez le bon temps roulé in your Scottish accent. Gregor, I'd have to make that happen. Happy Mardi Gras to you too. I hope you're doing all right. Matthew's in. Hey, from Metairie. I hope you had a fun day down there. And good to see you. Oh yeah, absolutely. Good to see you, Matthew. It's good to. I remember. A lot of fun. Thanks for coming in and joining us tonight. Let us know what you're drinking and if there's a particular bourbon or even a scotch that you like that's been in a rum cask for a while. So speaking of New Orleans, for those who don't know, Metairie is a suburb of New Orleans. And sugarcane came in from from probably Indonesia, China kind of area up through the Mediterranean into the European countries. Columbus brought it back over here to Hispaniola, which is basically Haiti and the Dominican Republic area. From there, it came up into Louisiana, no brainer, because we were the melting pot for the Caribbean. And so it loved our South Louisiana environment, the soil, the rain, all the things. So, Florida's not the only one that has a lot of sugar cane. South Texas used to, not so much really anymore. I don't think they even have a gin or I don't think they even have that anymore, which is really sad. But Louisiana still has a ton of sugar cane. And with that, a lot of the rums were imported through the port of Orleans, the port of New Orleans. Sazerac is a huge importer. And this is one that they import, which is a Barbados rum. It's for those rum folks, you have my deepest apologies for butchering this, but Jung and Wolf, I'm going to guess. But this is a Barbados version that is number 3, and I think it was at the ABV on this. Where'd it go? 43%. So this one, I thought about opening it up, but I'm actually going to open up the next one. Because my first sample whiskey dram is at cask strength. So we're going to go with a cask strength rum. This is Izalco. I'll just say maybe that. Ron Izalco rum. Central America. Doesn't really nail down the country. Private Reserve. It's a 10-year, 60.5 ABV. This was basically a barrel pick for our Bourbon Society Baton Rouge and Hocus Pocus liquor store here. So that's what we're going to crack open. I want to do a tasting of this, and then we're going to get into some samples. Soon as that last time I did this was at Maker's Mark, and it didn't work out very well. I think we're going to get it. Maybe. Okay, here we go. There we go. So let's see who else is in while I open this up. So I had this for longer in the hot minute. That's for sure. So Stacy's having a Copeland Bordeaux rum finished cask strength Irish whiskey. Dang, that sounds good. I had some more of that Killowen port that you sent me the other day, Stacy. Got a good cork. Yeah. Sweet. Don't you just love sound effects? So we're going to pour this just a little bit. Just a little bit so we can taste it. Okay. Of course. Okay. Pretty color. So let's talk about the color of rum, because it's molasses, water, fermented, yeast, kind of it's almost like a brandy kind of thing, right? Goodness. I don't need another vice, okay? I don't need to all of a sudden go into a cask strength rum girl. Just don't need to go there. I'm trying to take it easy on that kind of stuff. But it's basically white coming off the still. So white rums, from I understand, basically are matured in stainless steel, and that the color off of this is what's coming off of the cask that it goes into. And a lot of time they use a bourbon cask that they have just charred the hell out of. Oh man. So at 60.5 is definitely a little bright there. Definitely. But you just really super charred sugar, I think I have changed my diet a lot lately since about Thanksgiving. Well, actually it's since October, and I've really pulled extra sugar out of my diet, and it has made me much more receptive to the smell of sugar. At the point where I go down the bread aisle in the grocery store and all I smell is sugar. So I think that would, for most folks, it may not be as sweet smelling, but it is. And it also almost has this coconut underlying smell to it. Man. Yeah, Joe, I think that is cricket that they had on that for sure. Oh, that's funny. Sugar Kitty. The cork sounds like a Diageo from a squeaker. But yeah, our local group, it's not just a bourbon thing, although they have not done an American single malt yet. So I'm gonna have to talk to them about that. But they'll do an occasional rum. I don't think we've had a tequila. I think this was just something that was too good to pass up. I don't know if it's I don't know, Joe. I don't think that there really would be after distilling it a couple of times. And from what I understand, some rums are 3 times, mostly column still. They're running that stuff through. It's going to strip everything out and make it. And they do cuts just like in whiskey, and just have that kind of heart cut. It's just when you think about what molasses looks like, That's so not what it looks like. So I think a lot of people may even think, well, it's dark because the molasses has an effect, but that just doesn't happen. Science happens. Okay, so here's the sip. It's hot. 60.1, 60.5 rather. It's definitely hot. There's almost a caramel, um, again with the burnt sugar, not too creamy like a creme brulee, more candy-ish for me, and pancake syrupy smell. This may be a cardinal sin. I'll do it like I'll do whiskey. I'll drink it like I want. We're going to throw some water on it, just a few drops, just something to kind of break the heat up. It's got the warmth thing going on. But, and maybe it predisposes me to what I'm going to be tasting in these other ones. But without having a really good base of what rum should impart, I thought this would be a good little idea. Yeah, I mean, some vanillas. I'm not getting like the honey and vanilla kind of oakiness or anything like that. Actually, there is a little bit of oak aftertaste, a little slightly astringent on the back end, but just really sweet with some tropical fruits. There's a little banana, kind of maybe a little pineapple, but definitely like a coconut. Get more coconut on the nose and the finish, like that kind of aftertaste. Interesting. But I can see where you would just sip that and not make necessarily a daiquiri. I would be a hell of a daiquiri. And I would not like the frozen kind, but like the actual daiquiri cocktail would be exquisite out of that. That's for sure. So kind of getting an idea of what that baseline is. When you look at, I guess, some of our usual suspects that have and feature a rum base or a rum maturation to it, again, the Balvenie Caribbean cask is 14 years. Oof, the price has popped up a good bit. God knows what they're going to do now. And they're at 43%. Most of everything that's on the shelf kind of brands are the 43%. So there is that. And then, it's just for those of us who like the higher strength stuff, I've got a couple of things that we can talk about, but you've got that one. I've suggested the Caribbean cask to bourbon drinkers. That's usually what I call the gateway Scotch for them, because it does add a sweetness to the palate that that they already prefer by liking bourbon. So that one is a really good gateway Scotch. Glenlivet has their Caribbean reserve. That is an NAS. So there's non-age statement there, and it's at a 40. So it's a safe, easy sipper there. Then you get up with Glenfiddich. and they have a 21-year reserve of rum that is a whopping $244 at 40 ABV, which don't get me started. And you just wonder, what would it taste like at 46 or hell 54 or 52? But at 40, it's just like, are you really going to impart enough of the whiskey taste and then have the influence of the rum? I just that's my biggest beef with Glenfiddich always, is their low ABV. But I'm not their target audience, so it's okay. Joe, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I will definitely have a dram on you in Scotland, friend. Thank you so much. And I will be sure to let you know which dram it is. That's for sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good times are going to be had for sure. For sure. Um, Even single malt, I mean, American single malts, Westward, out there where Gregor is, has a rum cask, but it's coming in. It's a Guatemalan rum. Um, and it's at 45, so it's presenting in a far better, in my opinion, or beefier ABV than a 40% watered down for the masses. So yeah. Anyway, so those are just a few that are readily available. You can get on the shelf. Um, and then of course there are going to be single casks that other folks are going to be coming to. I do want to say, for those who may not be real familiar with Holyrood, Holyrood is a relatively new distillery. This is their arrival. This is their inaugural release. And this is an amalgamation, what's left of it. You can see I've got like a quarter of a bottle maybe left. Been rationing this sucker. This is a combination, a blending of bourbon cask, sherry cask, and rum casks, because Holyrood is an independent bottler of rums, and their brand is called Elizabeth Yard, and it's where they house and store their the cask that they're going to be using, and they will sometimes finish them in old whiskey cask, which is really cool. They have one that's so it's like a reversal of this. It's a rum in a former whiskey class cask, or a sherry cask is one that they're particularly do. But Elizabeth Yard was the actual ration storage place for basically the wares that would be sent to the Royal Navy. And so they named their rum, that's where the rum stores would be, to send to I guess like the base for the Royal Navy, and to send to the Royal Navy during, for those who are enlisted. I just think that's so cool that they honored that and kept that going. But Holyrood, they're in Edinburgh. Scotch drinkers only are carrying them. They have imported Holyrood. It's the only place that you can get it right now is through them. And this one, you definitely get a little bit of that banana tropical fruit on the nose of that one particularly. Is awesome. I see Scotch for Dummies. Andrew is in. Oh, Andrew, I got 2 drams coming up you're going to love. Leslie Le Bon Temps Relais for sure. Matthew, I haven't had that much rum. That's why I'm wanting to do this, because I'm like not very educated at all. I will say I've had quite a few Louisiana rums that ain't shabby. But definitely this one, I think it's Guatemala. I'm not sure. That Ronizalco, but I don't know. We need Kim and Tom on. They would be able to give you lots of suggestions. Okay, so this is a sample. This is cool. So I'm going to go with the cast strength rum to match this cast strength, this first sample I'm doing. And I collect my samples. This is a Glengarry. My buddy Kat, when I was over in 23, hooked me up with all kinds of lovely samples from Glengarry where she works. And this is a rum cask 237 from 2012. So it came off the still 2012 and sat in bourbon till 2016. At 2016, it was put into this rum cask, and then it was bottled in 23. And it is so lovely. So, okay, Jamaica. We'll give you some pretty funky rums. So, would you say that Jamaica would be the Campbelltown of rums? We bring out the funk, right? Yeah, it would be good to get Tom R on here. Okay, Sugar Kitty, thank you. All their stuff just says Central America, so I wondered if it was, like a group of that. I'm not sure. Cooler Running, thank you so much for being up in the wee hours of the morning at 2:30. Cheers, Sandra, y'all. Thank you, friend. Great seeing you here. Um, I mean, it smells like whiskey, but with that burnt sugar nose, with a little bit. I'm getting more of a pineapple on this one. Definitely different. Mm. So the ABV on this one, this Glengarry cask strength rum cask is 58.4. Oh, yeah, 58.4. Very clean and crisp. And where the rum is super duper sweet to me, there's just like a kiss of sweet on this. Mm. Yeah. I mean, I definitely get the bourbon influence on it. And it does have a bit of an oak chaser. Very nice. I was trying to pay attention to the aftertaste. Like, does the sweetness continue through that, or does it kind of chill? Mm. The sweet I get on this whiskey is super upfront. And then it kind of swirls into like a immediate the maltiness to the whiskey. Has a bit of spice at the end. Super approachable at that. When I say it was 58.4, I think that's it. I can't. I've got to get my glasses on, Yasha. Yeah, 58.9. That 4 turned into a 9 with the glasses on. Yeah, so almost as hot as the 60.5 rum. This is the rum, which I'm getting pancake syrup all day long. Yeah. Slight element of it, but not overpowering. It still smells like whiskey. And that's what you want any type of maturation finishing. Right? Like you don't want sherry whiskey. You want whiskey that has an influence of sherry or an influence of the bourbon, not like a whiskey version of that. I don't know. I just prefer the balance in that for sure. Definitely. So Andrew, if you're still on, Ardbeg or Lagavulin? So I have two others that I want to taste here. Let's go with drum. So Jennifer, if you haven't seen the Ardbeg committee release video that Jennifer and I did now years ago, Jennifer, can you believe? Oh, you picked Lagavulin. Okay, we'll do Lagavulin first, and then we'll do drum. That it is a hoot. It is an absolute hoot. I did ask Andrew, so I'm going to. So this is another one that got a big spiel. So this is Lagavulin is the Offerman edition of the Caribbean Rum Cask, 11-year. And yes, Sugar Kitty is Diageo. So stay tuned for another cork thing. Of course, the wrapper just broke off. There we go. I'm opening bottles tonight, y'all. What's the world coming to? Okay, here we go. I don't think this one's going to be as good. Oh, wait. It's there. There's a little. It was a little at the end. All right, let's swish this out a bit. Um, so Joe's saying some whiskeys you enjoy a sloppy finishing barrel. Had some good blueberry brandy finished bourbon. Very interesting. Ooh, and had the leftovers at the bottom. I bet that would taste really good on ice cream and probably a lot really good on a king cake. And we're gonna bring the king cake out here in a bit, guys. I know, yes, I know. BR Scotch, Kevin, Kevin has an opinion about this one for sure. Um, Andrew, you're going no peat. Okay, I'm gonna drink your peat for you. So let's always forget the glug sound effect there. Yeah. So this has a marked difference in the rum aroma as opposed to that Glengarry. I think my buddy Kevin might have been onto something. And I think I had already obtained this bottle when you told me what you thought about it, Kevin. Uh, they're not quite in a lot of things, are they, Sugar Kitty? That's okay. All right, I have to pour you some of this and send it to you, Andrew. You'll have to experience that for sure. So for those who may not know, Scotch for Dummies is coming out with their second American single malt pick. Their first was the chocolate malt last summer that we all got to go to Texas to Andalusia to help bottle, which is absolutely stunning. And this past weekend, they went to Virginia Distillery and got to, I don't know if y'all bottled, but y'all got to label and do all the things to a bourbon matured expression for Scotch for Dummies, Courage and Conviction. And y'all know I'm a huge fan of Virginia Distilleries. We've had Amanda Beckwith, their blender, on the show, which is really good rewatch if you ever want to do that. And hopefully my bottles are en route, because if I get them in time, I'm taking one of those to Scotland to our friend over there who really likes bourbon matured stuff. So check that out. It's available for their patrons. But yeah, they're doing some really cool stuff. So Kevin, do you have that Springbank rum cask? Our buddy that's on tonight, Jimmy Jazz, he's drinking that 15-year rum cask now tonight. Man, this is very rummy on the nose. All right, let's go for a taste. And let's see, our ABV on this one is, can't you read it without the glasses? I think it's 46. Yeah, so it's a 46. Quite spicy. You get, I don't know. So, when you go and you get a drink and you think you're getting Sprite and you take a big swig and you realize it's water, and you just had in your mind what you were going to be drinking, and that was not what passed all your receptors. I have always in my mind like what Lagavulin 16 is in my head, right? And this is not Lagavulin 16 by any measure, but you get that kind of underlying Lagavulin spirit. I mean, I can find that, but it is heavily influenced by the rum. Kudos to you, Kevin, BR Scotch. You nailed this one on the wall. Lots of tropical elements. It's tasting a little flat, maybe just because it's a neck pour or something. I'm trying to give it a little air with a swoosh here and there. That's interesting. It's and it's hot on the end. It's like a spice, like a white pepper spice. It's a little different. Not what I expected. Not bad. It's just, I'm wondering how that's. So, Kevin, have you tapped into that again, to where you gave it time to breathe, and did it change any for you? If you did, I'd be interested to know, because I mean, we've all had the bottles that were like, coming out straight out of the gate, and then later on they just kind of bloomed out. I had an Isle of Barley. I mean, not Isle of Barley, sorry, a local barley Springbank that was like that. Like at first it was like, and gave it a while, and now it's like rationed because it's precious. I mean, that's a good point, Andrew. If those casks are too wet, there's too much influence of that former spirit, it's definitely going to make an impact, right? Definitely so. So now I have poured, thanks to Jennifer, Ardbeg Drum. This is the second release, and it's the 46% version. So not the full-blown committee release, but loads better, in my opinion. I hate doing the qualifying thing because nothing's wrong with the other one. It's just a preference. Y'all all know that. Big caveat. It's just a preference. The balance and the nose of the drum is light years ahead of the Lagavulin Offerman at this point, at this night, during this tasting. I mean, goodness. Still get a good bit of the rum on the nose, sweetness. But there's that salinity and kind of, or not really salinity, more of a CBD brine, lemony smell that you get from an Ardbeg. Girl, straight out of my brain. Nice and briny, but good tropical notes. Yeah. And who doesn't like Shorty, their little dog, with like a Carmen Miranda hat that she had that year we were there? Wasn't that was the year we were there, right? At the Academy? I'm pretty sure 2019. Yeah. Lagavulin was a little thin tasting. It's 46%. This is 46%. This feels, it's got a little bit more substance. Exactly. They had his mural painted on the wall. It was just adorable. They do it for every year, and it's kind of a shame. At some point, some archivist is going to go through the many layers of Ardbeg's walls and uncover one mural after another. But yeah, I get almost that there's definitely a maltiness still to it. So it's not, the sweetness isn't overpowering the malt. You still have a bit of that brine salinity. Even more on the palate. And that's the thing, when you think about the influence of another spirit on the maturation or finishing of whiskey, it should just do that. It should complement it. It shouldn't override it. This is going to have to chill out for a while, because right now the rum is running roost on it, and it is really, for me, a bit off-putting, but I'm gonna give it a little time. Things can change. Yeah, so it's interesting. You don't see as much rum matured as you do sherry, and I think a lot of that has to do with, rum isn't probably as easy to get as something like all the sherry casks. There's not the steep tradition of using sherry and Scotch like there is sherry, using rum like there is sherry. So there are all of those reasons. I mean, we're starting to see tequila casks now, and different brandy casks, and yeah, you have a lot of European wine casks too, but it seems to me that you have to be pretty careful about that. I know Hollywood, and talking to Callum Ray and the way that they put together that first inaugural release, he was very cognizant of rationing the amount of whiskey matured in a rum cask because it was so potent. It just needed a little more kick of a sweetness, where the sherry casks, he talked about adding a lot of the savory notes, and he just needed a little bit more sweetness. So that's why they used those casks that had rum in them previous to that. So that makes a lot of sense. Full circle back to Louisiana, sugarcane, huge. We have about 20 rum distilleries in Louisiana. Baton Rouge has like 4. One of them is about 3 miles from here, and that's Oxbow, downtown Baton Rouge. Sugarfield Spirits, Bayou Rum, which is huge and has now been bought by one of the bigs, is in Lacasine, which is over in southwest Louisiana, between Lafayette and Lake Charles. And Crawfish Farms are literally across the road from it. JT Mellick makes one. Noel Family Distillery is in Donaldsonville, very close to where the camp is. And it is farm to bottle, just as Kilhoman or Springbank will do a local barley, and the barley on the farm that goes into the bottle, that malt. The same thing is for the sugarcane for Noel Family, because they have had sugarcane. They've been sugarcane farmers in their family for generations, and now woman-owned business is making rum. You've got 7-3 and Nola, both out of New Orleans. Laissez-faire out of Baton Rouge. Sugarfield Spirits in Gonzales, just south of here. They, their name is Sugarfield. That's a cane field, So all of those, I would say, if you come upon them, I've had quite a few of those. Their products are all really, really pretty tasty. And Bayou Rum also has an orange liqueur that's made out of satsumas that we have. I know y'all know I've talked about our satsuma tree, little tangerines. So local grown, local sourced sugarcane going into those. It's a big deal. Rum's like getting really hot, I guess. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. So keep your eye out for Louisiana rum. Hey Bob, good to see you here. Asking about the Adelphi Springbank 21 rum cask. No, that sounds intriguing. Adelphi is actually going to be one of the folks that will be exhibiting at the Independent Spirits Festival next week. And so, Chuck, we have to check that out for sure. Maxine, hey, hello, all good to see you there. And this is going to be one of my my partners in crime next week. Good to see. Yes, it is still ready for the party. I'm just so proud of everybody who's learning a little French tonight with the Les Elements Relay. And if you or Google knew how to spell it correctly, cheers for all of y'all getting it right. I'm so impressed. But yeah, so Rick and his wife, Peter Lee, and Denise Lee, and I think there's someone else. I'm not quite sure, Rick, because I totally inserted myself into the party. We're all going to go hit Deanston while we're over there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, so kind of wrapping some things up with that. Thanks for indulging me as I learn more about rum. And I think it would be kind of good to get some of our folks who know so much about rum to do something. Maybe Kim and I could do a few things, or Tom, we'll see. But I think that would be fun to learn more about rum and its influence, and it seems to have as many variations as our beloved Scotch whiskey. So more power to those who are crazy about rum as we are about whiskey. Everybody's got their thing, you know. um but yes, it is Mardi Gras. um in past Mardi Gras, because Mardi Gras is always going to be on a Tuesday. It's been, wild. We did a whole show on all our customs and how different our Mardi Gras celebrations are. Most people know about New Orleans and how crazy that can get down there, and it certainly can. But even in the suburbs and in the neighborhoods, I mean, you see the craziness down on Bourbon Street, and that's one thing. But you've got the parades uptown, and you have the parades, and you have the African American Indian tribes that have the most exquisite beaded costumes that they work on all year round to celebrate their Indian heritage and to share that with everybody during the Mardi Gras. If you ever get to go to Jazz Fest and you see the parades of those folks, please pay attention to that, because it is an absolute art form in transit. It's just amazing. Then you get to the burbs and you get the family, what we call the truck parades, where you've got a float flatbed that's all decorated with people on it, and then a truck's pulling it, and those are great, and you can bring the family, and no sordid details happen those for the most part. And then over in southwest Louisiana, you have the Cajun Mardi Gras, like around Ville Platte and Mamou. My friend was down in Basile today with that, and that is a whole different way of Mardi Gras that's based on, quite frankly, making fun of the patriarchy and the royals by acting a fool dressed up as them and going on horseback around the country gathering ingredients for a gumbo and chasing chickens, real live chickens, because you got to have a chicken for the gumbo. It's just the culture is never ending down here, and one of the reasons we absolutely love it, and want to celebrate it. Yes, we love to talk about Scotch, but I want you to know about the joie de vivre in South Louisiana, that joy of life. And let me tell you what joy is. Joy is this king cake. So I've cut a slice. We've already hit it. So most king cakes for Mardi Gras are kind of a brioche bread, more than a glorified cinnamon bun. Okay, so they'll have cinnamon and different like flavorings in them. Traditionally now, a lot of them have a cream cheese filling with maybe fruit within it, or some different things like that. And then icing on the top with 3 colors, primarily purple, green, and gold. And they each represent attributes, and the 3 kings that were in search for the Christ child, the baby. Baby is stuck in the cake, and whoever gets the baby has to buy the next king cake. And for the love of God, you keep the knife in the box of the king cake until it's gone. But this is our choice this year. Y'all, it's so bad. This is I want to get a really good. This is a Reese's peanut butter cup chocolate king cake. It's freaking decadent, which is good because this is the last day we can be bad. It is got a peanut butter fluff cream cheese filling, and then it's ladled in chocolate fudge icing with chunks of broken up Reese's cups on top. It is amazing. I've been trying to figure out if I could bring a king cake to Scotland next week, and I don't think it's going to work. But we're going to sign off here in a bit. I'm going to make a cup of coffee and have that, and have one last piece of king cake before Lent starts tomorrow. So, Scotland, I leave a week from Thursday. I'll be there Friday. Saturday is the big festival. And then I'm headed to Glenkinchie with Graham, our buddy Graham, who's always in the chat. So we're going to go spend a day at Glenkinchie. Rick and I and Paul's going to Deanston. Going to do a lot of filming over there. Going to do interviews with folks. I'm really excited about that. And popping back and forth between Edinburgh and Glasgow. So it's a quick trip. I'm only gonna be there for a week, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. And again, that Sunday, the 16th, midnight UK time, but 5 p.m. Central. I'll be on with Stacy on 4 Leaf Whiskey along with Jason the Mash and Drums. So please make sure you tune in for that, because that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, so be sure to watch socials. I'll be documenting the trip on Instagram and Facebook. Hit the like button here. Thanks again, Joe, for the super chat. I appreciate it. I will let you know what dram I have poured, probably at the Bonaccord or the Pot Still or the Tipsy Midgie. Might be the Tipsy Midgie. You never know. We'll make it a big dram. We'll make it something really fancy. But yeah, so I hope, yeah, sometimes people do break a tooth. That you have to be careful with people who don't know about the baby. You have to warn them. That's why they don't stick them in. They kind of just give you the baby to do it yourself because they don't want to take the liability. But yeah, we're going to have a really good time. I'm excited about this trip. It's going to be fun. I'm super excited that I found out Chuck Maltminion's going to be there as well. Be great to finally meet him. Great to finally meet Rick. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And we'll tag you all along with us. And so, yeah, patrons, thanks again so much for all your support. You're going to get videos during the week. I'm posting one for y'all this week before I leave. And members of the channel, thanks as always for all the support. Until I'll see you at Stacy's show, maybe we'll see what we can do while we're over there. Y'all take care, drink well, and happy Mardi Gras. Sláinte, y'all.